It's quite incredible. It's almost like so overwhelming, and it really makes me just like pause for a moment and be like, okay, is this really happening right now? Is this really the message that I need to send out to the world? It seems quite humbling again, quite overwhelming, as I said, quite huge, like massive, like the word that he wanted me to use the other day, massive. It's not to be taken lightly. It's powerful. It is powerful like a volcano. It is powerful like lightning. It's powerful and quick. That's what makes it so huge. And it really takes all of us to make it happen. And there needs to be movement on it. It needs to be slow movement, determined movement. It takes a lot of determination to create this, the will of God. It takes strength, it takes willpower, it takes community, it takes us being united as one. I know you guys are dying to know, like, what is it? What is it? My hands are tingling. So the messages I'm getting from God are strong and powerful and beyond human imagination. I mean, I probably could imagine these things, but me as an individual, like, I just don't think this way because I don't feel like that, like, confident and in that high level of a mindset because of my lifestyle. I'm not Kanye West, you know, but what God told me is that, you know, he has been, I've always liked Kanye, even when he was down, even when I do like the underdog, you know, like, because I see them differently. I see when people are down at their worst, like Justin Bieber. I've always liked Justin Bieber. I've always liked Barry Bonds. No matter what difficulties, like the media or other people are saying about them, I just think in my mind, like I'm you guys. Like, I'm thinking like, well, you just loved them like a second ago and now you hate them. Like, what? That's so, like, that's not unconditional love. Like, why? It's so fickle. It's so, like, it's just not cool. It's like, how could you love somebody 1 second and then not, just because you learned something that you didn't know or somebody went through a hard time? Can't you just think like in a more loving way? Why do you have to be so harsh and so cruel? And in joining the bag, it's called the bandwagon. So, like, it's like, oh, since everybody feels like that, then you feel like you need to feel like that, or you're not going to be, like, part of the crowd, you know? But speaking of bandwagon, we really need to stick together, united, and change the world. This is a huge mission. This is a huge movement. This movement needs to be massive, on a massive scale. And I need everybody out there to spread the word and share this video and share it quickly with everyone. This message is from God. It's time. He's saying it's time that we've leveled up as the human race, as humanity has leveled up to a point where it's time. It's time to explore new ways of doing things. The old way is not going to cut it anymore. The old way is filled with problems. It's holding us back. It's holding humanity back. God is saying, how much longer can you possibly have these old, outdated rituals, institutions running your people, when God hears all of our prayers? He hears the collective prayer of everybody. He hears the echo of wanting world peace, wanting safety for our children in schools, wanting these soldiers that are in wars safe. He hears these families crying in pain for these soldiers to come home safe, and how much love they have. He hears the soldiers' pains and cries inside, not being allowed to even show their emotions. I'm thinking about men and how they're raised as boys not to show emotion, not to cry, not to have feelings. When are we all going to change all of these things that we all feel? Why are we going to let an old, outdated system tell us how we're going to behave and how we're going to treat our children and raise our children? Why are we just going to follow every generation back to back to back with an old mindset? We have to evolve as humans, as humanity. When I had children, I knew that my family didn't raise me right. I knew that my mother and them did the best that they could do, and they did it the way that they were raised. But that I knew it was wrong. So I went out and I got a book. The book was called Children Are From Heaven. And I read the book and I wanted to follow it. I believed in the book, first of all. It spoke to my heart and it made sense to me. And I used my discernment to know that, yes, that's the right book for me. And that is how I want to raise my child. And I got other books like How to Expect When You're Expecting, because I didn't want to learn from my family. I didn't trust my family. I didn't trust the people around me because I knew that how they raised me was not the way that I wanted to raise my child. And I knew that when I went to college, and I knew that things change over time. Like, things get better. We have more knowledge as from generation to generation. So I wholeheartedly believe in college, a college education for everybody. Education is so important. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I need to say this about education. We are all born with a brain, okay? And that is what matures. Our bodies change to a certain, we age as we get older, but we have one body, one brain. We change so much throughout life. Our mindset changes so much. We mature so much, and we have different ways of thinking as we grow, right? That's all about knowledge. So the more knowledge that we put in our brain, the more we grow and evolve and get better. So the more information that we can get, the better. The closer to God we get, because that education is so important to having like the best life that we can possibly have. It's having parents that have had that education as well, and that can pass over that education to their children, and have a strong family foundation where it's not toxic, it's positive, it's uplifting, it's education. It's the reasons why we don't want toxic behavior, the reasons why you don't do these bad things, the reason why things are important. That's what education is. It gives you a more solid foundation as to why you need to do all of these things, how you can use your brain in its full capacity. What do you like to study, and what doesn't, feel like it's important to you. Having a confidence about yourself that you can achieve things, having an ability to start something and finish it, having the ability to be reliable and responsible and trustworthy. That goes along to, once you can graduate from college and have your own family and have your own children, you can pass on that education and all that knowledge onto your children and better your children. So it's so important. It's important to listen to your parents and respect your parents. And it's also important to respect God and what God wants us to do. God wants us to have this be our new church. For the time being, I don't know how long this is going to be for. But I feel like this is going to be the place. And it might expand, but for right now, he wants this to be heard throughout the world. The messages that I'm delivering. We need to change our school system. The way we're teaching our kids, what we're teaching our kids, how we're teaching our kids. We need to change the government. And it doesn't have to be the way it is right now. There's so much judgment and racism and sexism and corruption. It's all greed and money and like deception and just, money is the root of all evil, right? We can't have this world of competition and that's jealous of other people and trying to fight for positions in life. And nice people, whole, pure-hearted people like me and others feel like we just want to get out of the way. We don't want to have to compete for things. We just want to live in peace and harmony. So therefore, we don't even feel safe to be ourselves. We don't feel safe to say, I'm an atheist, or I don't want to go to church, or I don't like what I see in any kind of aspect. I don't like the way men are treating women out there. I don't like guns. I don't like violence. I don't like this whole, I don't like the way the world is acting. I don't like how men look at women as sex objects, how men are raised, like I said before, how they can't show their emotions, how they feel like less of a man because of that, or that children can't be individuals and wear what they want to wear, that they feel like individuality is something like wrong. We're like, it needs to be, accepted more, that, your individuality is like accepted. Not that you're weird for being an individual. And that's probably changing more. The younger generation is, I feel like this is more for the younger generation. And we don't know, I want everybody to grasp these concepts and to support this cause of uplifting humanity. I mean, do we think that these institutions, like the government, the way that it was set up, like hundreds of years ago or over 100 years ago, do we still think that that's exactly how things should be? Whenever I would see a president, I don't agree with either one. I don't agree with the Republicans or the Democrats. But we have to pick one of those people. It's dividing our country, and it's all about money and sponsors and who's getting more money and all deception, and it just seems it's so corrupt, and everybody knows that. And then war, and we have to kill people in order to get our message across, and and just not being supportive of our environment and the causes to support our environment, and just it's all politics. Nobody even likes the word politics at all. Why does it have to be this way? Why can't we figure out a system that is a kinder, gentler way? I understand that we have to protect our country and that there are weapons, but we have to think more outside the box and come up with better solutions to this problem. We don't have to stay in these confines of what has been structured like 100 years ago, or I don't know, it was hundreds of years ago, 1492 like, or when it was the Constitution signed, 1776, like, that was a completely different time than it is now. We need to restructure things. Like, who's gonna do that? We need to come up with something different. Our school systems are so outdated and bad. We're not giving kids the proper education for life anymore. Like, it's just the same system that, you know, that we've had for the past 50 years. What has happened in the past 50 years? A lot. Even our jobs out there, it's not okay to be sick, or it's not okay to, you know, you only have so many days of sick leave, you only have so many days of vacation, you have to do what they tell you to do, even though they're like, it's not fair. I had a really hard time getting a job because I had children and I'm a single parent. How is that right? When I did the right thing and I needed to be with my kids and I was willing to go work from 8 to 5 and nobody wanted to hire me because I had a gap in my job resume. Or this or that. And it's not fair. Things are changing. People are more understanding nowadays. That's why we've leveled up. We are ready to make a change. God wants to throw out churches. Churches are corrupt. The Bible is corrupt. He feels like we are at a level where we can take on the responsibility and the discernment of what is right and wrong. We don't need to hand over, you know, our money to these institutions when they're just robbing us. It's free will. If you have discernment and if you feel that there's real people of God running the churches, and it meets your needs, then do it. But if it doesn't feel right, God doesn't want you to go there. He would rather have you help somebody in need directly than give your money blindly to a church that you don't know where your money's going or if it's going into the building of the church. That's not going to something that, like a sick child or a homeless person or somebody in need. This is the message tonight. So please take this in. Please think about it. Please, we'll talk more about it. This is just what I heard. And what we need to be thinking about for the future generations. This needs to be thought about.